Western drugs, but I think there's a lot of stuff that you can do for these pets. Go ahead to the next slide, please. All right, so disclaimers. I am not associated with any of these companies or products or anything like that I'm bringing up. Obviously, I'm not employed by Best Friends anymore. I'm doing my own thing. But just wanted to let you know, none of these companies are paying me to say I love this product versus another product. Okay, next slide. All right, so like I said, we're gonna break this down into two big sections. So the first section we're gonna do is introduction to integrative medicine, and these are the types of integrative medicine: mushroom therapy, Chinese herbal therapy, acupuncture, Qigong, homeopathic, Western herbal medicine, and CBD. Okay, so we're going to do some broad strokes on that, and then we're going to incorporate that integrative medicine into these diseases here. These are a lot of diseases that you guys probably see all the time with foster animals, especially geriatrics, why they're getting turned into the shelter. They're having urinary tract infections, they're spraying, their anxiety, they're scared to death, or they have chronic diarrhea, and the owners can't handle it anymore. So, next slide. So we're going to start with mushroom therapy. Mushrooms are a super high source of protein, phosphorus, magnesium, and fiber. Mushrooms have been used in China for a very, very long time. So the Qin Dynasty back in 221 BC, so a very long time ago. Mushrooms are considered food therapy, so that means they can be incorporated into the food. We can eat with the food, and it's not going to decrease the absorption of it. Mushrooms are considered biological response modifiers. That means when we take mushroom therapy, the longer we take it for, the more effective it is. Okay? And all this stuff is on the PowerPoint slides, so you guys can just enjoy all my wordy slides and not write anything down. So I promise it's all in there. All right, go ahead, next slide.
Question?
Yes.
I thought like mushrooms were toxic, or at least really bad to give dogs. Like,
so these are medicinal mushrooms, so it's different. So these are going to be like reishi, chaga, and I'll go into that here in just a few minutes. But it's not like the mushrooms you find in your backyard, right?
or
so
on a pizza.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's different mushrooms out there, and they have different healing properties to them. But you have your poisonous ones, like death cat mushrooms, things like that, versus you have your morel, which are your fancy, expensive food mushrooms. So there's different classes, and what we're talking about is the medicinal ones. Okay. So medicinal properties of mushrooms. So majority of our medicinal mushrooms support our immune system with beta-glucans, and that's what you're looking for in mushroom therapy is the measurement of beta-glucans. So I have an example one you guys can pass around so you guys can see a good example of mushroom therapy. We also have, with mushrooms, they can help with mental and cognitive issues. It also has some great antioxidants. So antioxidants, they help eliminate free radicals in the body, and that can cause oxidative stress, which can accelerate aging process and contribute to a lot of different health issues. They also contain tryptophan. It's a class that's been shown to have some chemoprotective and chemotherapeutic properties as well. It's naturally occurring, it's anti-inflammatory, it's analgesic, it's anti-fever, it's awesome. Beta-glucans, like I said, they're very important, and this is what you are looking for measurements when you're looking at mushroom supplements. So they have anti-inflammatory properties, they're antiviral, anti-cancer, and they support good microbiome gut health. Okay, and then let's do the next slide. So this is where we talk about the different types of medicinal mushrooms. So we have agricon. Sorry, I can never pronounce that one. That one is known in ancient Greece as the elixir of long life. It's been used dated back to ancient Greeks who once used it to treat severe illnesses like smallpox and respiratory issues. It's also found at very ancient burial sites. Next one is chaga. So chaga is very antioxidant rich. It's been around also for a very long time. It has high It helps with, it has melanin. It helps with also a variety of polysaccharides. What it does is it helps to balance our immune system. The next one is cordyceps. I'm sure some of you have heard this. There's a couple video games and things like that made out of this. Walking Dead mushrooms, cordyceps smashing into people, making them zombies. That's what it's based off of. So cordyceps, there's two different types. The main one that we use is called Cordyceps militaris. It is cultivated in the environment, and we use it because it has a high dose of cordycepin. The other species is called Cordyceps sinensis. It's so rare, it goes for about $2,000 per kilogram. So, and it's because it's only grown on insects in the Tibetan plateau. So, you will never see that one in your life.
Which one is that?
And that's it's the sister to this one. Yeah, so it's super expensive. But actually, this version of the cordyceps has a higher cordyception than the Tibetan one. So this one is actually more effective for medicinal purposes. So this one is like stamina, so we use that for like physical therapy, things like that, try to give us a little bit more also used for breathing and respiration. And then of course lion's mane, I'm sure you guys have heard lion's mane mushrooms before. Okay, so they look literally like a big white fluffy mane. They have them at the co-op, grocery stores all the time here. And that one is meant to help support the brain and the nervous system. It helps with cognitive and memory support. There's tons of research papers about this, using it in humans and animals for dementia, and I'll talk about that in a little bit here. It also helps with a balanced mood and more balanced immune response. Go ahead and do the next slide.
So, I mean, that's for people too, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, maitake, everybody's heard of maitake too, I'm sure. This one is immune supporting also. It also helps regulate blood sugar levels in patients that have normal blood sugars. Reishi, I use reishi quite a bit, and that's the one I'm passing around right now for everybody to look at. This one helps with energy, stamina, heart health, immune function. It helps us try to adapt to stress. It may help you stay asleep better. It kind of has almost the same side effects like melatonin. We use it all the time for breast cancer patients too. Reishi is also known as the mushroom of immortality in ancient China. So reishi, one study for women who were there were 4,000 women breast cancer survivors, and 60% of them were taking reishi mushrooms. So in the one study that they did, so definitely helps. And that they were taking this while they were doing their chemotherapy treatments. The next one is turkey tail. Turkey tail I use all the time. Turkey tail is like the #1 mushroom that has immune support and great anti-cancer effects. We use it for different types of cancers. These are just some of them. There's actually a few new research papers in animals and using turkey tail for specific types of cancers and having great outcomes, and only just using turkey tail and nothing else. So it's definitely a new thing. The turkey tail has been used in Japan since the 1980s, and they've been having great luck with it. Next slide. Alrighty. So, mushroom powders versus tinctures. Again, super lengthy slide. You guys don't have to read all of it. It's all written down. What you're looking for, because there are so many supplements out there, right? And so, how do you know which one is a good product? How do you know it's another one's snake oil? So, when you're looking at mushrooms, you would prefer powder over tincture. And the reason we would pick powder is because it has a longer shelf life, less fillers, and you can accurately measure beta-glucans. And if we're dealing with like reishi or cordyceps, we would be measuring the tetrapenoids in reishi levels, and then the cordycepin in cordyceps mushrooms. with tinctures, there's actually no great laboratory way to measure how much of the beta glucans are in that tincture. And especially with those tinctures that use glycerin as their filler instead of alcohol, you have a higher concentration of glycerin in water to your solution. And so basically down here, 90% of the bottle, if it has glycerin in it, or out of that solution, 90% will be glycerin and water, and that only leaves 10% to be the active compound. So not that great, not that effective. And you can't trust anything that says they have, for a tincture, that says they have 50% beta glucans in there. It's physically impossible to have that. Most of the time, you're lucky to get 3% out of the tincture, the beta glucans. Okay, so powders are a great way to go, and chewables are a great way to go. Okay, right, next slide. So samples of some different mushroom brands. Like I said, I'm not taking any payment from these companies. This is what I like to use. So Real Mushrooms is one of the brands that I'm passing around right now. They come as a chewable, a powder, or capsule version. So obviously powder version is the best. You just scoop it and you mix it right into the food. This company is thoroughly tested. It's certified gluten-free, organic. They actually don't grow their mushrooms on rice. They actually grow it in Canada, out in the woods. It's on logs and things like that, so they try to keep it as natural as possible. So when they measure their glucans, they're held to a higher standard. They do, National Association of Animal Supplement Council. They get a seal. They have to go through rigorous testing every so many months.
Which one are you referring to right now?
That's the Real Mushrooms,
Okay,
and that's
Real
the little
Mushrooms.
bottle that I was passing
Okay.
around. Yeah. So that's just their powdered bag version. This is very inexpensive. You can get this on Amazon, order it directly from the company.
Which do you prefer?
I like the first two the most. When I start, it was Real Mushrooms is really, really good when they kind of streamline more of the animal side pretty well, because they have the chewables and stuff like that. So if you have pets that are super picky, they do really well with that, and it's very inexpensive. So I really like that.
So like how long does a bottle or a package last?
So it depends. It depends on this, how long you're treating for and what you're treating for, because what we're doing is we're treating based off of measuring the beta glucans. So if we have a normal healthy pup and we're not worried about anything, we do 1 to 2 capsules depending on how big we are. If we're sick, if we have cancer, we want to get more beta glucans into our body. So then we might be looking at 2 to 3 capsules twice a day. And usually they come in 90 capsules, and then the powdered bag, obviously bigger dog, higher dosing, it'll last a lot longer because it's usually about a teaspoon to 2 3/4 of a tablespoon. So, yes.
Would a mushroom powder be a contraindication? Let's say the immune support to, let's say, a cat in renal failure. Okay.
So basically, and I talk a little bit about cats in the next my next slides. Yes, literally my next slide I talk about cats. So the only thing with cats is that some mushrooms are a little bit more bitter tasting, so that would be like freshies. So sometimes you have to mix it in some chicken puree or something like that. Otherwise they won't like the taste of it. But I use it all the time for immune support in my cats too. Yep. So there's no contraindication. It's not high enough in micronutrients to alter like phosphorus and things like that. Yeah. The other brand that I like is Host Defense. So Paul Stamets is one of the big mushroom guys. He was the one who basically pioneered and started everything over in the United States. There's huge documentaries of him on Netflix. This is his personal company. I like his company also. His are more focused on humans, but that doesn't mean that we can't steal some of that for the animal side. So they have some combos that I really like, and so I'm going to pass this one around. The bottle's open, so just be careful. This one is his liver supplement. I really like this one because it combines mushroom therapy with some other things. So herbal therapy like milk thistle, turmeric, things like that, and black pepper always you have to have a combo with. So I'll show you guys that one. Pass that one around. And so I actually use that a lot in my immune-compromised squirrels that I do a lot of rescue rehab with. And so we break open the capsules, and then we do 1/8 of a teaspoon and we cook it into their cookies. And a lot of these immune-compromised pinkies and babies, once they're starting to eat solidified food, we do that, and they're healthy, and we can release them into the wild a lot faster. So we really like that stuff. And so, of course, they have all the same products that real mushrooms would have. Price effective wise, I think they're pretty even. If you ask me, you can get this on Amazon, everything. I really like this stuff. And then another company that does a great job is Mountain Rose Herbs. You can only buy their products on their website. They are local, organic, non-GMO. They have tons of stuff on there. You just need an account, but it's super easy to register for, and you can buy it in bulk powder, dried form, whatever works. Okay, next slide. All right, so like I said with kitty cats, Reshi, super bitter tasting for cats especially. So just mixing it in some food, it'll still be absorbed properly. And then you can actually cook and bake with mushrooms. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen, they have like the mushrooms that you can add to your, your smoothies or your coffees and stuff like that. It doesn't affect the absorption rate being cooked or baked. So as long as it's not above, 600 degrees, those mushrooms are going to be great. So a lot of times I'll sneak a little bit of some lion's mane mushrooms into our enchiladas for my mom, and she has no idea. And it helps with her memory, so that's what we do. So it's great, but you can use it any way you want to. So if you have a super picky eater and you need to mask it as a cookie instead of sprinkling it on the food, you can definitely do that. Okay, go ahead, next slide. All right, Chinese herbal therapy. Next slide. So I started Chinese herbal therapy back in 2021. I really love this. It's opened my eyes up to a lot of different things and a lot of different modalities of treatment, and I feel like I've been able to help a lot more animals by learning this. Chinese herbal therapy, basically we focus around qi. Qi is the fundamental life force, and that all life and existence comes from our qi. We're born with so much qi, and once it's depleted, we no longer exist. And so our goal is to try to make sure our qi lasts for as long as possible, and we try to support that qi as long as possible. Qi can exist in several different forms in our body, and each serving a different purpose in life. Qi can be damaged, such as stagnation. And so in stagnation, that means our qi flow through our body is blocked, leading to symptoms such as pain, tension, and emotional distress. And then we can also get qi deficiencies. So we're having a low qi, and that can result in fatigue, weakness, and compromised immune system. So with qi, we also are born with, according to Chinese medicine, each person and pet is considered to be born with a personality type. So with types, which is going to be the one on the left, the green, these are going to be our spicy chihuahuas. We're going to be the alpha dogs. We hate other dogs. We want to bite you the second you walk in the room. We are driven by our liver. So our liver in Chinese herbal medicine is considered the governor. And so it can get overheated easily. So we have attitude problems, things like that. So these are kind of our more aggressive kiddos. And then we have fire. Fire is like our crazy German short hair pointer that's bouncing off the walls every 45 seconds and doesn't calm down until it's time for bed kind of situation. And so they are more predisposed to anxiety problems, so such as self-destructive behaviors, separation anxieties, and heart conditions. We also have earth type personalities, so that's one off in the yellow. Earth types, we are those happy, lovable labs that just want to be your best friend forever, follow you around, super laid back, easygoing. We're more predisposed to digestive issues, spleen issues, things like that. Metal, which is the silver grayish one down there, that's more of our aloof kiddos, so that could be like our English Springer Spaniels that are like, I can live without you, I'm just fine, just let me do my own thing. They are more predisposed to lung issues. And then the final one is our kidney, or water. So kidneys are tied to urinary issues and also bone in Chinese medicine. So this is dogs that are high anxiety, fearful of everything. They pee themselves when you first meet them, that kind of stuff. So those are water type personalities. Okay, go ahead and do the next slide. Okay, so she is closely related to the concepts of yin and yang, and it's actually pronounced yang. I was really bad and I said yang for the first 5 years until one of my Chinese instructors hit me on the side of the head and said, no, it's yang. So it is yang. So don't we had a good way to say it. Yin and yang, which are that standard Chinese symbol that you guys see, where it's the the black and the white teardrop. They represent the dualities of nature. So yin is like our internal cooling system, while yang is our internal heating system. And so we can have, we should have a nice harmonious balance between yin and yang to optimize qi flow and overall health. And then when these forces are in disharmony, it can lead to health issues. So you can see all these types and personalities and all of the organs that are associated with each type, they all feed into each other and connect to each other. So kidneys are responsible for keeping the fire down if it gets too hot, things like that. So if you have one imbalance or one excess of one, it can deplete the other. So if we're having a lot of fire issues, so heart, anxiety issues, it can burn us out and starts affecting our kidneys and things like that because it's drying us out. Okay. All right, go ahead and do the next slide. So, with Chinese herbal therapy, how do we figure these things out in a pet? So, what we do is we look at patterns, and patterns are either excesses or deficiencies, depending on what our yin and yang are doing for each organ. So, when we look at them, it's just a simple physical exam. There's nothing special, exciting about it. We look at your pet's tongue color. We look at the shape. Is it moist? Is it dry? Is it falling out of the mouth? Is it nice and tiny? I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, tongues look different in different dogs and humans. Everybody has different tongues. And that was one of the first things I noticed in veterinary medicine is why is this dog's color this way with this disease and different color and a different disease. And so Chinese herbal medicine kind of filled in the blanks and answered why that's happening, and so you can catch things a little bit faster. Your tongue is the roadmap to your body. So femoral pulses, so those are your little pulses right there in your inner thighs. You left and right, you would feel at the same time. For horses, it's jugular pulses. And you can palpate and feel it with deficiencies just with your 3 fingers. It's pretty cool. And then you look at a time clock, and so there's a little time clock over there in the corner, and that's showing which organ and which personality disorder is being affected at the worst time. So if you notice that we're having really bad issues in early morning, okay, it might be a wood issue, liver, gallbladder being affected more. And you can especially see that with some mental disorders too. You can see anxiety with sundowners and stuff like that can be tied to certain organs at certain times of day. We also feel for body temperature changes along the spine, ear temperature, paw temperature, things like that. And then hair coat, we're checking for dandruff, things like that. That can tell us certain deficiencies also. Herbals can come in different formations. So we can have T pills, which are tiny little pills, and that's what we would give to cats instead of trying to force a huge capsule down their throat. Granules, so powder form, capsules themselves. You can use topical ointments, liquid extracts, things like that. And then you can get custom-made formulas depending on which companies you're using, or you can get traditional formulas. The traditional formulas, there are over 422 traditional Chinese formulas dating back from 220 BC. You can use them for animals, horses, humans, all of them. So this is an example of one. You guys can pass around, and it also has the names of all the different herbs for each one. And so that is a traditional formula. So the reason I like Chinese herbal therapy, it's not a straightforward way of doing things. It's more specific to your pet. So what I mean by that is, say your dog has diabetes. What do you do in Western medicine? You're going to throw insulin at it, call it good, things fine. With traditional Chinese medicine, you're going to look at, okay, yes, we have diabetes. Yes, we need to start on insulin, but we also could have some deficiencies. We may have a spleen sheet deficiency. Do we have really bad diarrhea associated with it? Do we have, kidney issues associated with it where we're getting too cold and we're heat seeking all the time, stuff like that. So we also treat those deficiencies so it makes our body be able to regulate that diabetes better and get our insulin better under control than just throwing insulin all the time. So I'll go ahead and do the next slide for me. Thank you. Okay. Tons of different stuff that we can use Chinese herbal medicine for. We can use it for endocrine disorders, Cushing's. We can use Chinese herbal therapy, especially when Western drugs aren't working, like we can't tolerate the medications, it's causing terrible side effects, things like that, or we just don't want to go that route, or Western drugs have already failed us. So cancer is a big one, chronic skin conditions, anxiety, heart disease, urinary incontinence, everything you can possibly think of we can use it for. Okay, go ahead and do this slide. So, main cautions to Chinese herbal therapy. Pretty much, Chinese herbals are pretty safe. Most worst side effects is diarrhea. And then we just want to be cautious with using it in patients who are pregnant because we are moving qi and trying to get things going. It can cause things to move, and we don't want birth out puppies too soon or kittens too soon. So we just worry about that. And then obviously this is a foster conference, so we're not talking about performance animals or anything like that, but for horses in competition, for dogs in competitions, some pets can test positive on certain drug testing if we use Chinese herbals, but there's only like 3 or 4 drugs out on the market, and I never use them, so it's for other issues, it's for performance stuff, so we really don't worry about that at all. Okay. All right, go ahead. Next slide. All right, acupuncture. Anybody ever get acupuncture on themselves? Yeah, everybody, awesome.
Yep.
Good. Do you guys like acupuncture? Do you feel like it works?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I went in for pain, but then it was after my second stroke, and my balance was off, and I walked out of there perfectly straight. So
awesome.
And it helps something completely different.
Yeah.
So yeah, it helps.
So with animals, with humans, we have a little bit of a placebo effect because we want to help ourselves. But animals, there's absolutely no placebo effect with acupuncture, right? So it's either going to work or not. You're going to see some of these results almost instantly or the next day. So the body has over 2,000 acupuncture points. There's charts, and every species has different locations. So if you walk into a veterinary practice, you will see different acupuncture points for rabbits, birds, lizards, dogs, and cats. So it's awesome. And each point does something different and communicates to different parts of the body. The points lie in meridians. So you have meridians and channels that run up and down your arms, along your back, along your head, face, everywhere. And so these meridians also have their own flow of qi. So as we're using acupuncture on certain points, we are trying to improve the flow of qi, to unblock things. We're also doing like trigger points, things like that too, to try to get the muscles feeling better. Go ahead and do the next slide. So not all pets tolerate acupuncture. So we have other options, and I'll talk about that in the next section. But if we are able to do it in pets, they do tolerate it well. Cats actually like acupuncture pretty well. You would think they wouldn't do it, but I get a lot of cats where owners like, you're never going to get a needle in there, and I plop one right on the nose in front of the owner, and their jaw drops, and the cat's like, oh, I like this isn't so bad. So we have to have a good bond and just read them really well, but they tolerate it very well. I use acupuncture a lot in other species, so I work on a lot of exotics. So I use it in rabbits, chickens, squirrels. There's a couple viral videos of me doing acupuncture on paralyzed squirrels on TikTok. So there's just tons of things you can use it for.
Does that cure the paralysis?
It can, depending on what type it is. So, because if there's obviously the spine is like jacked up and it's broken and snapped in half, you're never going to get function again. But if it's inflammation or a pinched nerve, sometimes you're able to get function back. Yep, we just have to acupuncture. So different things that you can use acupuncture for, and we can combine this with Western medicine. So we can help relieve itching. We can improve sedation. We can use it as to help stop bleeding right before we go into surgery, so you can acupuncture certain points on the body. The one for the bleeding is right over the pelvic area. We can tonify deficiencies. We can expel heat. And then we can help support inflammation, or support the immune system, help relieve inflammation. Go ahead and do the next slide. So this is Aho. It's a video. I don't know if it'll work. Yeah, sorry. I hope it will. Yeah, yay. So Aho is 19 years old.
Cannot play media. It says.
Oh no! I'm sorry,
Let's
guys.
try it again.
Is it not connected to the internet again? That might be it.
It's still connected.
I'll just describe it to you guys. Sorry. So this is Aho. Aho is either 18 or 19-year-old cat. Aho in Japanese means asshole. The owner has named him appropriately. He is a big asshole. He has not been to the vet in at least 12 years because he has bitten, attacked, and been banned from several vet clinics. I have been treating him for the last year and a half with acupuncture for his seizures, his osteoarthritis pain. We practice for free, so that's my husband's hand right there. He's up for sacrifice, and we use churros. He loves food, and so the first little bit we just came over, go to the house to do the acupuncture and massage for him, and we are able to put in a ton of needles on him. He lets me put in about 15 needles now. He tolerates the needles for about 15 minutes, and then we do massage for another 15 minutes afterwards. When he eats, he goes meow, 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 meow. It's adorable. He actually gets excited for his acupuncture appointments now, so when he sees me at the door, he comes and greets me and then leads me to his special chair that we do his acupuncture on. And he does a great job. So he is not on any joint supplements or anything like that. And no seizure medications, and we're able to keep everything level and kosher just with acupuncture and massage, because the owner can't give him any pills. These are acupuncture photos of some of the exotics that I've done. So you can see a couple needles here, and then over there, same chicken, and then we've got our rabbit, so we've got points here, and then along the hip area. So for the rabbit, we had GI stasis. So I don't know if any of you guys have rabbits or do rescues for rabbits. Okay. If you look at a rabbit the wrong way, they go into GI stasis just like a horse. So you want to make sure that, and it's hard because with GI stasis, this can kill the rabbits, and so if you don't have a lot of options, you got to do something. So ears are wrapped because we have an IV catheter in the ears, that's why it's all special like that. But so we do acupuncture to stimulate intestinal motility to get everything moving again. This chicken was paralyzed. This is one of my old receptionist chickens. We were paralyzed because the kidneys were enlarged and pushing on the sciatic nerve. So once we got the kidney disease under control, we did some acupuncture. This is called the Louis point, and so we use that for pets that are paralyzed or have some paresis. And by stimulating those points, we're stimulating chi flow up the leg, and this chicken was walking again within 3 to 4 days. So, unfortunately, she succumbed to her kidney disease, but that was months later. All right, Tweenaw. So you can go to the next slide. So this is Chinese massage and acupressure. It feels just as good as it looks in that picture. So there are some pets that can't tolerate acupuncture or needles. They are just afraid of needles. You can start with massage. You're just literally using your hands. And Tweenaw is basically the ancient form of it's Chinese massage, and it's been started back into 221 BC, and was also documented in 206 BC. What it means is push and grab, and so what you're doing is you're massaging the joints, the neck, acupressure points, things like that to help relieve tension, stress, and it's just literally using your hands. It's great. You can go ahead and do the next slide. So the whole point of this is chi again, right? So we're trying to relieve the blockages of chi in the body and help restore balance. And so we also can help promote blood circulation too. So if we have pets that have paraplegia or paralyzed, or just not moving their legs very well, that can help get blood circulation going again. Sharon knows I do.
That's great.
Yeah, Sharon loves it. I do it
Not
for
me, my
socks.
dog. My dog loves it.
So I do a lot for this is great for a lot of the geriatric pets. They get a lot of relief, and I can wean most of my pets almost completely off or all the way off of gabapentin and carprofen, and I can get dogs to start running again without all the NSAIDs and drugs just by doing massages once a month. So it's really good. And pets seem to really like it. After the second session, they just kind of put their whole body up against me, and they sit on top of me, and they're like, okay, massage me now. They love it, and it helps with their anxiety levels too for the vet visits, because then I can do other stuff to them later on if I need to do blood draws. So it just gets a good trust bond between you and the pet, and then the vet too. Go ahead and do this. So this video probably won't work either. So this is Aho again. So what we're doing, it's a fascial tension release technique. And so in Tweenaw we call it Nifa. And what we're doing is we're literally rolling and kneading the skin. And we're starting from the head, neck area, and working all our way down to the butt. This is very easy. I teach all my clients this on their pets, so you guys can massage them at home this way, especially if they're having back pain, spondylosis, things like that. 99% of the pets enjoy this, and they tolerate it really well. You'll start to notice like the skin should be nice and loose. You should be able to pick it up and roll it back and forth really easily. When you have tension spots and the fascia is really tight, you will find you can't even lift the skin up. It's literally stuck. And so you'll start massaging and help releasing some of that. This is comparable to like people who get cupping, if that makes sense. So obviously make sure that your pet's drinking plenty of water afterwards, things like that. A lot of them will take a nap immediately after their massage. That's perfectly normal. And so this is something that you guys can do at home, very easy. I usually do 10 reps, starting from the neck, working all the way down to the hip area, and neck to butt. Some dogs you can work backwards. Cats don't like their fur being messed that way, so you always want to go head to butt. Okay? All right, go ahead, next slide. Okay, homeopathic medicine. Does anybody know what homeopathic medicine is? Anybody heard of it?
Just alternative
Yes.
using
Okay, yeah.
herbs and such.
Perfect. Okay, we'll do the next slide. All right, and so I have a couple examples of homeopathic remedies. Sorry, I keep giving it to you. You're just the first person I see, so. So this is an example of some of the homeopathic remedies. Homeopathic, what that means is we're treating like with like, and it's based on the theory that we're using natural substances either from a plant, a mineral or an animal part that causes the body to react and treat itself. So you're trying, and we use this a lot for chronic conditions where the body's basically just ignored the problem and doesn't seem to address it anymore. So we can use it for arthritis, things like that. There are a bunch of different numbers associated with homeopathic remedies, and this is where people get really confused and overwhelmed. And so and then the other thing is the dilution process of homeopathic remedies. So this is all written down, so you guys don't have to remember this, okay, because it's a lot. Homeopathic remedies are started with an X, C, or M, and then there's a number following in front of it. So X is the least strong version of a homeopathic remedy, and so it's a 1 to 10 dilution ratio. And then as you go up, you go to C is the next strength, so that's a 1 to 100. And then M is the strongest dilution that you can get. And then you have different numbers in front of the C. So you can have a 30C or a 6C or a 200C. So 6C is less strong than a 30C or a 200. The more dilute the homeopathic remedy gets, the more potent and strong it becomes, okay? And then they usually come as either a tincture form or pellet form. And so I'm passing around the tincture form right now. Pellets, I'm sure you guys have seen, can I have a picture of it in a few slides? The boreon, it comes in like the little blue things, yes. Yeah, so those are the pelleted forms, and we'll go over that. And then the great thing with homeopathic remedies, everybody takes the same dose, so it's always 4 to 5 pellets. Doesn't matter what, if you're a Doberman, if you're a human, if you're a little Chihuahua, if you're a hummingbird, that's what you get. And so it's very easy to dose out and very, very cheap to use. Go ahead and do the next slide. So when we're using homeopathic remedies such as the pellets, you don't want to touch them with your bare fingers. It's not because they're caustic or burn your hands or anything like that. It's just the natural heat and oil from our fingers strips that little sugar coating that's around it and makes that homeopathic remedy exposed to air before it touches that mucous membrane, and it makes it invalid and doesn't work anymore. So we don't want to do that. We can dissolve them in your pet's cheek. You can dissolve them in water and give it to them orally that way if you feel like you can't put things safely in there in the mouth. And then we usually just say hold off on drinking water or eating for about 10 to 15 minutes. Super easy. I tell most owners to put the homeopathic remedy in their cheek pouch and then take the dog for a walk. That's usually 10 to 15 minutes and time's gone on. Some remedies you only have to treat once. Some remedies you treat twice a day. And some remedies are, only if issues arise. Okay, go ahead and do the next slide. So, how do you pick the right homeopathic remedy? There are a ton of homeopathic remedies out there, and so what you have to look at is you have to kind of answer some of these general questions. Does it get worse in the morning, the condition, afternoon, or evening? Is it worse in one part of the body? So say arthritis in the knees, is it worse in your knees versus your hip? Things like that. Do we have certain cravings or increased thirst associated with those conditions? And then does weather or temperature affect the conditions? So does heat make your knee pain worse, or does cold make your knee pain worse? That kind of stuff. And then color, odor. So sometimes, like with certain bloody diarrheas, we'll look at what is the color of the blood of the stool. Is it more wine colored? Is it more frank red color? That kind of stuff. I'm going to do the next slide. All right. So this is what I mean. So these are different homeopathic remedies for just osteoarthritis for the knee. And so what you have to look at is you're trying to figure out which homeopathic remedy is fits best for the condition that you're seeing for your pet. So we have Briona, and that's where we feel better after we're taking a rest. You'll hear cracking noises when we're walking. Calcarea basically gets aggravated when we're getting up or from a sitting position, and it gets worse with walking. Sometimes excessive cold is noted with the pain. Ruta, when we're going downstairs, it's worse. But it gets better when you lay on hard surfaces that are apply pressure to the knee. And then sulfur is when you're going up the stairs, it gets worse. So it's very different symptoms. And so, and you can use one single homeopathic remedy instead of a combo to kind of treat the condition. It works out really nicely. Go ahead and do the next slide. So these are the different brands. Like I said, you guys have, I'm sure everyone has seen those little blue tubes around. They are dirt cheap, very easy to use. What you typically find them as is 60, 200C, or 30C. The X's are pretty rare to find in the wild, and then the like the M strengths, those are only prescriptions, so only a veterinary practitioner or a human practitioner can grab that. Uranus is a great other brand, that's from the UK. That's one that I use, and then Botch. I'm sure everybody has seen Botch Flower Rescue Remedies, right? They sell it at Sam's. That one is more specific for flowers. And so, and you can use these, like I said, homeopathic remedies. You can use in dogs, cats, horses, birds, and rabbits. So, and I use it all the time in exotic pets where we can't use certain drugs or there's no data on drugs to use for them, and you don't know, you have no other options. Go ahead and do the next slide. All right, Western herbal medicine. Go ahead and keep going. So, Western herbal medicine, we've got echinacea, flaxseed, milk thistle, slippery elm, dandelion root, ashwagandha, turmeric. Do any of those sound familiar at all? Okay, perfect. So, you can find some of these Western herbals mixed in with Western drugs. So, Denamarin is a great example of this. So, Denamarin is a veterinary a medication that is used for elevated liver enzymes. So it has SAMI, which is the western part, and then it has milk thistle in there. So that's definitely a couple others. A lot of probiotics will also have some stuff in there too with western drugs. And usually with western medicine, you can give it as a whole plant, like a dried plant, or flour, teas, powders, tinctures. You can also use it topically as a paste. Okay, go ahead and move the next slide. Okay, this also includes like Western medicine includes like essential oils. I dabble a little bit in essential oils, but it's not my main focus because a lot of pets can't tolerate essential oils, especially for cats. For cats, there's only 7 essential oils that are approved for them that are considered safe, and that would be lavender, frankincense, chamomile, helichrysum, cedarwood, valerian, and then I can never pronounce this one, copaiba. And so those are typically the ones that are safe for cats. A lot of times you'll see like tea tree oil and rosemary that's out there for essential oils. Too high of doses of tea tree oil and rosemary can induce seizures, so we have to be really careful of that. And we don't know like the exact amount, so we have to be just careful of it. Oregano oil is another one that I see a lot of clients use. It's hot. I don't know if you guys have ever used oregano oil on yourselves without like a dilution. It burns. It burns your skin with contact time. So I don't like to use the oregano oil, but I like to use oregano, like dried oregano leaf itself on food because it is a great antibiotic. It helps kill fungal infections and bacterial infections of the skin. But we don't want to use it for longer than a month because it can cause elevation in our liver enzymes. And then just always remember, anytime you see an extraction of a plant, that means it's highly concentrated. So just always make sure you're diluting things appropriately. Okay, go ahead and do the next slide.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Would this apply, so the essential oils, would that also apply like if you put them into like a humidifier or, you know, an air cleanser?
Yeah.
So to be careful of not having them breathe on that, right?
Yeah, and cats are really sensitive to the inhaling the essential oils and licking them. Those are the like oral ingestion, so that's where you have to be really careful. Dogs, not as much. So like you could, so dogs you can usually do same dilution that you would as a human. So a lot of times, a lot of people would do like, 3 or 4 drops in a big, big container of a nebulizer machine or a diffuser.
So I just got like one of those rainbow air, the small air purifiers. But should I be concerned about eucalyptus oil or?
Eucalyptus oil is pretty safe. If you have cats and stuff, that's not one of the ones that's approved, so you have to be really careful about that and just make sure it's really diluted out.
Right. Well, it goes through you guys know what I'm talking about, right? It's like it comes out like as a mist.
Yeah, you just have to be really careful and it's not enclosing the animal in the room. That way, if it is bothering them, they can walk out. That there's plenty of air space. So these are a couple different recommended brands. Standard Process, has anybody heard about them before? Okay. A lot of human chiropractors love Standard Process. Standard Process also has a veterinary line. I don't know if many people knew that. They are in the USA. They are organic. They grow most of their own plants and everything in their farms in Wisconsin. They've been around for 75 years. They're a great company. They come as forms of powders, tablets, and oils. Silver lining herbs. Has anybody heard of silver lining before? So they are in Buell, Idaho. So they have been around for also, I think 30 plus years. They've been there for a while. So they actually use their Western herbals are like Native American based evidence. So I really like that. And so they have their different formulations. So Canine Foundation is one of them. They do a lot of horse stuff too. So they're really good, but they're local. Been using them for a long time. Obviously, there's tons of essential oils out there. The best one is doTERRA, but there's other brands out there. And then Mountain Rose Herbals again. They can sell fresh, dried, powders, tinctures, teas. So they carry some of the crazy stuff like cat's claw, turmeric, things like that. Okay, CBD. How many people have ever used CBD in their pets before? Okay, perfect. Has your vet ever talked to you about using CBD in your pets before? No? Okay. So in the state of Idaho, we have to be really cautious of how much veterinary advice we give on that. And it is what it is, unfortunately, in Idaho. But we're going to do broad strokes about CBD, but you didn't hear any of this from me, okay? They come and ask. So in the state of Idaho, CBD cannot be legally used as of November of 2023 in pets or feed animals. That would be cows, chickens, pigs, and sheep. How we're getting around it right now is that all the CBD is labeled for humans, and then we just say you could use it for your pet, or it just comes in a nice, convenient salmon flavor. That's how we get around it right now. Yeah. So
There's no THC in it, right?
No, there shouldn't be.
So
Yeah.
what's the problem?
Well, it's Idaho.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Okay.
That's the problem. So basically, CBD is derived from hemp, and what it needs to contain is less than 0.3% of THC. It should always be stated on the bottle, that way it follows the cannabis regulation standards, and it can only be sold by licensed retailers. And right now, like I said, it's being used off-label with the human formulations, but other states have pet-specific brands. And then you can use it with food on an empty stomach. You just don't want to do high temperatures of CBD. So if you're cooking, super high temperatures can, make CBD inactive. So you have to be really careful if you're doing like homemade CBD baking treats for your pets. Okay, go ahead and do the next slide. What has CBD been used for? It's been used for anxiety in pets. We can use it for pain, and we can also use it for seizures. When we're using it for seizures in conjunction with seizure medications, we don't want to stop CBD cold turkey, just like with seizure meds. We want to reduce it gradually. CBD usually takes an effect about 1 to 5 hours. It's super short acting, so after 24 hours, if you notice any bad side effects, it should be out of our system and we should be fine. If we have a pet that has liver disease, we have to be cautious with how much CBD we do. CBD is mainly processed by the liver, and CBD also can cause elevation of liver enzymes. Go ahead and do the next slide. So, how do you pick a good CBD brand? So, these are kind of just the general rules. So, we have to make sure it's from a licensed seller. So, only CBD. No, that's okay. Buy CBD oil from only producers and retailers who are licensed. You want lab test results, so making sure it's below the 0.3% for the THC, and making sure that we've tested it for any harmful substance, metal, things like that. Proper labeling. It must show all the information in there, what's in there, dosing amounts, things like that. No medical claims. Obviously, all supplements cannot legally make any medical claims and say CBD will fix everything for you. We just can't say that. And then hemp derived is the proper source for pet CBD. Next slide. So, potential side effects of CBD. They're extremely rare, but you can see sometimes drooling, vomiting, diarrhea, lethargy, and it's basically, like, we call it ataxia as a medical term, but basically we're walking around like a drunk sailor. A lot of times, most common side effects, which is part of why most people give the CBD, is increased hunger and sedation. So those are wanted side effects, but sometimes we don't want that. If you're using topical CBD, it can cause local irritation to the skin. Extremely rare. You can have, just like humans, you can have allergic reactions to it, facial swelling, trouble breathing, things like that. Knock on wood, I've never seen that in dogs, but you never know. And then, like I said, we have to use this in caution with liver disease. And then CBD interferes with the metabolism of the liver, or drugs that get mainly metabolized by the liver. And that's why we have to use certain cautions. So antifungals really don't play nice with a lot of things in life. So it's usually a very common drug to be not using with other stuff. Phenobarbital is one seizure drug, but you can use this with CBD with Keppra, which is levetiracetam. You can use it for the other seizure drugs. It's just phenobarbital is one of them that just doesn't play nice. Opioids like tramadol, gabapentin, it can just make us more sedate, and so we just have to be really cautious of that. If we're on non-steroidals, so that's like carprofen, Galliprant, it can interfere with, predispose us to bleeding more. And the same thing with warfarin, can make us bleed a little bit more. And then antacids. Antacids are really common. They also don't play nice with a lot of medications and drugs out there. Go ahead and move this slide. This is all written down, so you guys don't have to remember all of it. So studies have shown, like I said, that it can affect the liver, and it specifically attacks cytochrome P450 and alkaline phosphatase, which is one of our liver enzymes, and so it decreases the metabolism or increases the metabolism of certain drugs. So that's why we just have to be really careful and just monitor. Some dogs respond differently to CBD at different dosings, so always start off at a low dose and slowly titrate up. Go ahead and go on to the next slide. Research. So, tons of research starting to come out in the last few years, and they're starting to focus on different disease processes. So a lot, Colorado State's been pretty good, and Cornell's also been a few studies out there. What they're looking for is like pain management. Actually, 80% of the dogs that had osteoarthritis and were treated with CBD had a decrease in pain in those studies and had an improved quality of life. We also used it for seizures, and so far it's showing that it's being used safely in control of seizures with other drugs. And then in Australia, we've had a couple other studies, and this was for itching and skin issues, which I thought was kind of interesting because I never thought we could use CBD for skin issues. But atopic dermatitis, has anybody ever heard that process before? So your dogs are itching, scratching, chewing themselves. It could be food allergies or environmental allergies. CBD might be help control the itch. It shows that it's about 50% decrease in itching just with CBD by itself. So that's pretty cool. And then also we do for stressful events. So 83% of pets respond well with CBD on board for stress and anxiety. Go ahead and do the next slide. So this is a general dosing schedule for pets for CBD. This can be for dogs and cats. Every dog and every cat's different. Everyone metabolizes it differently. So always start on the low end. Always start off with once a day and then slowly increase up as long as you're not noticing any diarrhea or anything like that. Okay? But that's typically the general recommendation for CBD dosing right now. Okay, next slide. All right, tons of brands on there. And of course, I can't bring a sample and show it to you guys so I can get in trouble. These are all brands that either my clients have used or I have personally used for my pets that I know work. So Honest Paws has some really great ones. They come as tinctures or chews. Body has also their own flavored tinctures. Four Leaf Rover has tinctures. Sun God Herbals, I put a star next to that one. That's one of my favorites. Sun God Medicinal, Sun God Herbals, they combine CBD with plants and flowers, and they are very specific in their strengths. So they have mild, moderate, and severe cases, and obviously the CBD dosing per mil goes up higher with the severe cases. They also pick their herbs with the CBD to help certain conditions. So you have like Hecka is for muscle conditions, and then you have, and that has, and then we also have ones for osteoarthritis and muscle conditions, and then we also have anxiety stuff too. So it's really good, and I really like their products. They've been around forever. They do human stuff too. Silver Lining Herbs, again, they do local mule. They have their own. They started that 7 years ago. Medterra also has some calming chews, tinctures, and then Lazarus Naturals. I really like that one too. This product sells out a lot. It is mushrooms and CBD in a chewable tree. It's awesome. And probiotics, which I think is great. You can use it for digestive issues, anxieties, and cancers.
Which one?
The Lazarus Naturals. Yep. All right. Okay. Is everybody still with me so far? Okay. All right. Now we get to the nitty gritty. You guys learned so much. So now we're going to take everything that you guys just learned and we're going to apply it to very specific cases or diseases. Okay. So let's get started with arthritis. That's one of the most common ones. Go ahead and do that slide. So with arthritis, we always want to do basic principle. We need to have some sort of anti-inflammatory on board. So your anti-inflammatory could be a non-steroidal like carprofen, Galliprant. We could have turmeric or curcumin, CBD, green lip mussel, axial membrane, or boswellia. So turmeric, I'm going to talk a little bit more on the next slide because that's a whole thing on its own. Green lip mussels, has anybody heard about green lip mussels before? Okay, so that's kind of starting to become a new trend. The green lip mussels are specifically come from the New Zealand coast. Research is starting to show that these mollusks are as good as NSAIDs at moderating inflammation. They are just as good as carprofen is what some of the research is starting to show. They're a good alternative to managing arthritis without any negative side effects. In general, the dosage is 200 milligrams per 10 pounds. You can use green lip mussel in cats also. Axial membrane. Anybody heard about axial membrane for arthritis before? Okay, that one, like sometimes it's there. It was a big deal about 10, 12 years ago, and then it kind of went quiet. Now it's a big deal again. Just like with all supplements. So this can help reduce pain and improve joint supplement. There's been tons of trials. So 6-week trial on 51 dogs, they found a 24% improvement in pain compared to like placebo. And then owners felt like there was a 27% improvement of quality life in the pet while they were on this eggshell. They also measured changes in serum level of cartilage degeneration, and it's called a biomarker CTX2. And so with eggshell membrane, they found almost a 50% improvement in that biomarker in the serum just by giving it. So it looks like it's going to slow down cartilage degeneration, which is awesome. We see eggshell membrane included in a lot of supplements now over the counter, so you don't have to look too hard for it. The general recommendation for dogs is 60 milligrams per 10 pounds. Boswellia. Has anybody heard of Boswellia before? Okay, that one's also a newer one. I have an asterisk next to it. It is amazing. I love it. However, this supplement, the way it's harvested, not so great. These plants are starting to become endangered from companies over-utilizing them because Boswellia, its serrata is only in India. And there's other Boswellia plants out there, but the serrata is the only one that's the best and has the best results. And so harvesting techniques and endangering the plants is not great. So hopefully they'll start coming out with better ways to harvest it, but it's great. It's just, yeah, how it's harvested is sad. Sometimes with Boswellia also, if it comes powdered and it's more man-made, it has silicone dioxide. Those are preservatives that are used to keeping supplements from clumping together. Obviously, we don't like silicone if we don't have to, so usually Boswellia, if you're trying to get it as a single item, I would use it as a tincture rather than the powder so you avoid that silicone. And then a lot of research on Boswellia back in 2016, using Boswellia in combination with curcumin. It showed significant improvement in joint function and reduced joint pain with pets with osteoarthritis. And that was published in the Journal of Veterinary Sciences. So the next one we're going to talk about is Adequan. Anybody used Adequan before? Okay, so Adequan is an injectable that you can get from your veterinarian. It is a polysaccharide. So polysaccharides, it's administered intramuscular, so in the muscle, once a week to once a month to every other month. You have to have functional chondrocytes for this medication to work. Chondrocytes are those little cells that live in your joint, synovial tissue, and that's what helps produce your lubrication for your joints. So you want to start Adequan as soon as possible when your pet's diagnosed with Adequan, or osteoarthritis, sorry. If you start Adequan too late, or very late stages, chondrocytes get destroyed as osteoarthritis progresses. So it's going to be less effective. So that's why some people don't see a lot of effects, but if you use it early, you can really help your pets. We can use Adequan off-label in cats, rabbits, horses, things like that. Omega-3s, we're going to talk about that in a huge own slide in a few minutes here. But omega-3 fatty acids, fish oil is one of them, krill oil, evening primrose oil, seaweed oil. And then, like I said, we talked about homeopathic remedies. These are general ones for osteoarthritis, not specific to the knee, like I was mentioning on the slides before. The CC loop, has anybody heard of the CC loops before? So, the CC loops are pulse electronic therapy. And what this is, we're taking this from the human side of medicine. It is a little ring that you can set on your pet, very easy, lightweight, or there's a bed that the pets can lay on. And what it does is it helps reduce inflammation, improve blood flow, and reduce pain. There's a ton of research papers that show using a CC loop once a day is just as effective as one pill of carprofen. The CC loops, or a CC and pulse electronic therapy has been used in the human side. So for astronauts, when they return back to Earth, when they are having degeneration of their bones, they use the pulse electronic magnetic therapy to promote bone growth again. And then also, they use this a lot in pain management for women who get mastectomies. So there was a couple of research papers that I believe it was like 60 to 70% of women who had the CC loops placed on their chest and used after surgery reduced their opioid use by 50%. So that's pretty good pain management there. And you know how painful that would be. Acupuncture, we can use that obviously for osteoarthritis, to wean off, so massaging those joints, stretching those muscles, and then Chinese herbal medicine. These are a few different Chinese herbals that we could use. Go ahead. Okay, like I said, we were going to come back to turmeric and curcumin. Has anybody used turmeric or curcumin before? Yep, okay. Do you know what's the number one rule when you buy your turmeric supplements? Do you know?
You use black pepper to activate.
22,500.
Yes, and you want pepper with it because it doesn't get absorbed otherwise. Black pepper specifically has piperine, and that increases absorption of turmeric by 2,000%.
Oh.
So yeah, otherwise it's,
The black pepper?
yeah. So always make sure your supplements have that. in
Household peppers?
there. Yeah, just household black pepper. Yeah,
Like
super
that.
easy. You can make your own
Quarter
turmeric paste.
teaspoon?
Yeah, yep. Just as long as you have a little bit of black pepper to it, it's perfect, yeah. So you can make a lot of homemade stuff with turmeric. Turmeric stains your house, your clothes, your fingers though, so be really careful when you're making your own homemade stuff.
How much black pepper
What?
versus how much turmeric?
So I have a recipe and I could email that to you if you wanted. I can't remember off the top of my head the exact, because I just have a specific formula that I use for homemade. But I don't know what the percentage is usually for the, like the pre-made formulas.
Okay.
But I can definitely give that to you later. So turmeric and curcumin, they are great anti-inflammatories, but we have to be really cautious about using it at the same time as non-steroidals. And the reason is that curcumin has some great anticoagulant properties. Non-steroidals, we are more predisposed to gastrointestinal ulcers, and so we can bleed from those. And if we have curcumin on top of that, then we'll bleed and bleed and bleed. So we want to make sure we're not using those in conjunction. Also, we want to always stop turmeric and curcumin right before, like 3 to 4 days before surgeries, just to make sure we're not having any bleeding issues. Most common side effects from using turmeric and curcumin are just nausea and diarrhea. So otherwise, it's pretty safe. Omega-3s. So fish oil is kind of starting to fall out of favor for the great omega-3 fatty acid debate. How fish oil is commercialized, it's unstable, it only lasts so long on the shelf, it can go rancid pretty quickly, and also concerns about how those fish are harvested, and heavy metals, things like that we're starting to find in there. So we're starting to look at other alternatives. So this comes from one company that I really like. They do a lot of research on their supplements. This is called a Dork Beast Apothecary. They show how much EPA and DHA, and these are two important fatty acids that help reduce inflammation that are found in omega-3s, the concentrations that you would pull from each thing. So greenlet mussels, not very much. Krill oil, a little bit better. Calamari, squid, better. Fish oil is still pretty high. And then we have their brand, which is this potency omega-3. I'm going to talk about that here on the next slide. We can go ahead and go to the next one.
So the smaller amount is better? So the krill oil is...
No, we want the highest amount possible.
Don't do krill oil.
But you
It's
just said, I thought you
unsustainably
just said
harvested.
fish oil was bad.
Yeah, so fish oil is bad, it's just falling out of favor, and it's still a high good source of omega-3s, but we want to find something that's more sustainably sourced.
So sea oil is different than fish oil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No,
That's what I didn't catch.
No, that's all right, and I'm going to totally go into it right now.
Okay.
So,
Question?
yes, sorry.
What about cod liver oil?
So cod liver oil, we're starting to find the same issues too, that it's starting to get over-processed, and then, like I said, you have to burn through that bottle once it's open at a certain point, otherwise it's going to start turning rancid and things like that. So and there is so hard, because every time you talk to a holistic or integrative medicine, human or veterinary side, they fight with each other all the time. Krill oil is better. Krill oil, rose oil is better. it's so hard to know, which one is the best, but just looking at the research, fish oil, there's so many bad brands out there, and it's hard to recommend a good one anymore. And then it's just trying to be better for the environment overall too, and for your pet.
Hey, Dr. Meadows,
Yes.
we are over time.
Oh shit, okay. I thought I was gonna take too long. Okay. I didn't think so. Okay, so this is all written down. I'll go super fast. So this is omega-3s. So this is the dog chart, cat chart, dog on the left side, cat on the right side. This is the brand of the Adored Beast. They extract it from seaweed and algae. So and it's harvested on land. They're not taking it from the ocean. So they're controlling it a little bit better. How it's harvested, there's no microplastics or anything like that. They mix it with a little bit of rosemary, so you have to be really careful in pets that have seizures for this one. But it has vitamin C and antioxidants and sunflower oil, and that's it. That's all that's in there. It's very bland, very easy. But it's ethically sourced. They test it for heavy metals, microplastics. They never use pesticides. It's water-based extraction, so no chemical solvents are ever used on this product. So it's really overall healthy. But you don't have to always use this brand. The dosing charts that they have is perfect. That's about for people. Oh yeah, you could use it for people too. I don't know if they make a human size of it yet, but soon. Okay, we'll skip through the next slide. Glucosamine, really quick. I don't really talk about it much anymore because there's not much research to show that it actually gets absorbed in us. There's been a big, huge Oxford research paper 2 years ago. 70% of us can't actually absorb glucosamine, humans or animals. And that's because it's our gut flora. So if we have poor gut flora, we can't absorb it appropriately. So 30% of us it actually works, 70% of us it doesn't. So you just want to pick a joint supplement that has more than just glucosamine. You are looking for all those other supplements I talked about in the previous slides. Okay. Muscle atrophy. We'll just talk really quick. Myos. Has anyone heard of Myos before? Yeah, a little bit. Okay. So Myos is a great muscle supplement that helps rebuild muscle. They use Fortropin. It's great for cats too. We use it in cats with kidney disease because they're starting to waste away. Their muscles are starting to go down. We can actually build up 30 to 40% of that muscle tone back just by using this supplement. It's extracted from egg yolks. So it's an awesome supplement. Tastes like eggs, so a lot of pets like it. Because it builds up muscle, we just want to be cautious in pets with heart disease because heart disease with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, that's the thickening of the heart, that could make the heart muscles thicker, even more thicker, so we don't want to do that. All right, next slide. Okay, chronic diarrhea. Okay, probiotics. With probiotics, there are so many supplements out there for diarrhea, but we just don't want to use metronidazole anymore. Metronidazole has really long-term terrible side effects, and it can last up to years in the body. It promotes other bad gut bacteria like Enterococcus to live in the gut system. We don't want that. So there are other things that we can do instead. Most diets respond to fiber, except for cats with megacolon. And if anybody has a cat with megacolon, just come talk to me later and I'll go over that a little bit more. Probiotics are super important. These are different brands of probiotics. Provital is a great one. Adored Beast has their own. They're species specific, so cats and dogs. I really like it. Vitamin B12 is a good supplement. Some diarrheas are caused by lack of vitamin B12. Lion's mane mushroom also has some good probiotic material to it. And Absorb is another great one that I use in the hospital a lot. It's like carrot powder and citrus. It's great. It binds up all the diarrhea in there. All right, let's keep going.
Oops, I hit that. Make it big.
Okay, so fiber, I'm not going to go too much into it, but there are two different types of fibers. You have insoluble and soluble, and how those fibers are broken down into different categories is whether or not they are, basically, are they fermented and their solubility. But this goes into great detail on that, but we'll skip that for right now. All right, so probiotics, like I said, they're great. We want to make sure that pets usually get 1 to 10 billion CFUs, which are colony-forming units, in their probiotics daily as a supplement. So that's what you're aiming for. Sorry, I'm going.
Quick question on probiotics.
Yeah.
Like Fortiflora, I believe, only has one strain.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend multiple strains in your probiotic bacteria?
Yeah, I do like recommending multiple strains because it's not just always one strain of bacteria that you're having the problem. Your gut flora is made up of more than just one strain, right? It's made up of thousands and thousands of different kinds. And so it's, they pick the most beneficial one that kind of, is shelf stable, things like that. But you want to pick something that has multiple different probiotics to it. So Probiotic is a really good one. And then, like I said, Adored Beast. If you ever guys want to go down a rabbit hole on probiotics, you can go to the Adored Beast Apothecary website. This woman has done so much research on probiotics, it will make your head spin. She has made very species-specific ones. You can turn around a lot of diseases and a lot of issues just by doing a good probiotic. 70% of our immune receptors are in our gut. So if we take care of our gut, we will take care of our immune system ultimately. Go ahead and hit the next one. Okay, cancer. I'm going to hit this one really quick. That one's important. So this is kind of broad strokes on cancer. There's so many different types of cancer out there. I can't go through every single one and give you guys a recommendation on all of them. We want to avoid certain therapies like cold laser, things that will promote growth and healing or increase metabolism of the cells. And so we want to avoid cold laser therapy on those cancerous areas. Chinese herbal therapy is great. Union Bio is a great one. Turkey tail mushroom, like I talked before, that's really important for immune support. Pre and probiotics. Food therapy. Food therapy is a whole other topic also, but dry processed foods are not great for us when we have cancer. We want to starve the cancer, so no sugars, no starches. We want to make sure it's lean proteins, fresh foods as much as possible, and that will help fight the cancer. Just like us in humans, that's the same approach we do. Go ahead and do that slide. Okay.
We're close to time.
Okay. And then hemangiosarcoma, tons of research of using just turkey tail mushrooms. So there was 2 new research papers out just by treating hemangiosarcomas. Those are very aggressive cancers of the liver and the spleen. I'm sure you guys have probably heard that terminology, at least that cancer at least once in your life. Labs hit them all the time on their spleen. They can bleed out from them. Without doing any medical treatments, usually the survival rate with hemangiosarcomas is 86 days on average. Just by adding turkey tail, you've increased to 120 days average survival rate. That's not including surgery, that's not including chemo, anything like that. Union Bio is also a really great anti-cancer for blood-borne tumors. I use that Union Bio all the time. I do a combo of turkey tail and Union Bio, and without surgery, I can get sometimes a year or 2 out of these kiddos. I can stop bleeding pretty much an active splenic bleed with Union Bio and get them stable enough for surgery like in the next day. So it's really good stuff. Go ahead and do the next slide. Anxiety and phobias. So CBD, like we already talked about. Certain flower remedies, so Bach Rescue Remedy. So that one has rock rose, cherry plum, things like that in there. It's great. But you do with calming supplements and flower remedies and CBDs, you have to give these a few minutes a couple hours before like the stressful event. If it's like for firework anxieties, things like that. But if it's everyday life anxiety, you have to give it for several weeks before you guys are going to see an improvement. Standard Process came out with a new one called Calming Comfort Pro. They say about 6 weeks. We've been seeing improvements in 3 weeks, which is general anxieties, fear lunging, things like that in dogs. Been doing great. Obviously, Prina has their own calming care. This one is just a single probiotic strain that they use. And so that one also about 6 weeks, 8 weeks to start seeing some improvement. A lot of people can get donations from Plan, because it's a dog food company, that you can get some of this stuff donated to your shelters and things like that for the pets. Okay, canine cognitive dysfunction. So lion's mane mushrooms, like we discussed before, it is one of the few mushrooms that actually crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it promotes regeneration of nerve growth fibers. So it's awesome. There's tons of research associated with it. We can use it we use it all the time in humans for COVID, brain fog, things like that. Super easy to incorporate into their food. Ginkgo biloba, everybody remember ginkgo biloba? Okay, it was a big thing back in the day when I was a little kid, not so much anymore, but you can use that in animals. It's been around for a very long time. It still helps. There's tons of research showing that 40 milligrams per 10 pounds for 8 weeks shows an 80% improvement of canine cognitive dysfunction. So definitely adding ginkgo biloba to your mental stability patients will really help them. CBD, like I said, melatonin, I like using that for sundowner syndrome. So when when dogs are panicking and freaking out at nightfall, that's really common form of dementia in humans. You can use melatonin, and that helps with those types of side effects. Acupuncture, CC loops can be used for calming, and then the omega-3s are important for brain health, and so that can also help with cognitive dysfunction. Okay. All right. So I think I'm going to stop there. Sorry, guys.
But this is all in our packet, right?
No, kidney disease and
You want me
cats
to
is
keep going?
the most
Okay,
important
okay,
subject. So
okay.
just one more.
Okay. All right. So kidney disease, like I said, we have MIOS. So cats that are older than 10 years of age, there are 30 to 40% of our cats are going to be diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, right? And then cats are older than 15 years, 80% of cats are going to be affected with chronic kidney disease. So with progressive renal dysfunction, you can get muscle loss. It's very common, and that's a lot of times why these cats end up getting euthanized, is because they have no body strength to them. They can't walk anymore. They just don't have the function to do anything. They just waste away. Yep. So MIOS is actually a great supplement. So that one has the corticotropin in there. Like I said, it's extracted from egg yolks. And it is approved and safe for cats with iris kidney stages 1 through 3. And so stages go all the way up to 4, so it covers most kidney failure stage cats. Have I used it off-label on stage 4 renal disease? Oh, sure.
At that point.
At that point, what is it going to do? It's not going to make things worse. And it will not affect your cat's blood urea nitrogen, the creatinine levels, or phosphorus levels in cats. And there's tons of research papers from the company that shows to prove that. Research has shown with this supplement just by itself, it increases lean muscle mass and fat by 67% after starting within 12 weeks of use. And it's a powder that you mix right over the food. Super easy. They can be on it for life. They have ones for dogs too. You can totally use it in dogs also. And then a lot of people talk about raw food diets for cats with kidney disease. Some people are anti-raw, some people are pro-raw. I'm in the middle. You just have to, there's raw food that's really important for certain diseases, and some things you can't use raw for. So moisture is very important for kidneys. So that's why I like raw food a little bit more in these types of cases, or homemade diets, just because the moisture is really important. We want to pick something with low phosphorus content. Some raw foods have ground bone in there. Bone has a lot of phosphorus to it. So what do? You just add a phosphorus binder, but it's otherwise pretty safe. And you just do your regular blood work like you would with any cat on kidney disease anyway. But a lot of cats do really well with raw food diets for kidney disease. Yes.
Do you have a recommendation for a non-prescription cat food for kidney support?
Yes, I can give you a list if you want.
I would love a
I
list.
huge 12-page list. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. And then let's see. And then this was what else was my last, or two more, but anyway, urinary incontinence. I actually just recently got published in a national paper for my spin-off. You can literally control urinary incontinence with dogs with just massage and acupuncture. You don't have to use Proen or anything like that. So, moral of the story is don't think that you guys are out of options. There's always something else. If your pets can't tolerate medications, there's always options out there. Don't lose hope. And then the last one is just about urinary tract infections.
Did you say bladder cancer?
Oh, urinary incontinence.
Oh, incontinence? Because I treated a dog with DES, not my dog, when I was pet sitting for, and DES.
We gotta wrap it up. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry. They're trying to kick us out.
Oh.
Thank you.
Sorry not to be rude. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Come on in and we'll finish up and everybody can go home.
I don't know.
Is that everything that I missed?
I'm not present for the drawing. You don't get one of the best prizes.
Okay. Where are you located? Oh, jeez. Okay. They have
People take care of my dogs. Yeah, no worries. No, that's okay. I appreciate it.
I'm used to being skipped, so.
So anyway, yes,
What do you need? Can I help with something?
I'll help you.
So it's $80, and that's just, and it's usually a 45-minute consult, so we go like really deep. And then
And I can bring the medical records I have.
Yep.
Because I have, my biggest challenge with my dog with allergies. He's not applicable.
Oh,
And the last bottle I bought was almost $500.
Yeah, we can.
I mean, it's just
yeah,
ridiculous.
we clean a lot of pets off.
Is this your husband?
Yes.
Hi. And are you also Dr. Metos?
What we
Or
can do.
different name or same?
Yeah, different name.
Oh, okay. What's your name?
I'm Steve.
Guys, I need everybody in the conference room for the final stuff, please.
Okay,
So
okay.
probably, I
Oh,
think it's
shoot.
either a food or environmental thing, unable to determine, changed.
Alright.
Like, is there something in general?
Yeah,
Like, did you do a
so
mushroom kind of thing
you-
for immune support?
You
or-
can. So typically,
Excuse me.
so
Imagine not.
typically with ear infections is
Okay.
silver and all.
Nope, I'm gonna shut down the computer and then Michael's gonna come in and take care of the rest. Thank you.